Hey, welcome back to the Myth Impressions channel. We are Nemesis Gears, Steampunked Out, and of course, Knox Hollow, which is where we're at once again today in the Knox Hollow wood shop. And we are making some more wands. And let's go through, let's burn through this quick part here. Step one in Tinkerton's wand making manual is to make the wood round. And that's what we're doing here. Step two, we are going to rough in the blade of the wand down to about the right size that the blade's going to be. I will put a taper on this, but we're going to work this down to about the right size to fit into the wand holsters, which is about the size of a Sharpie. So we're going to work the first section down, and then we'll move to the middle. And step three is do the next section just like the first section. The point of doing this is to get once we have the blade of the wand roughed down to about the right size, we're able to feed that up into the chuck jaws, which I've switched to, and that helps to eliminate the chatter. And that is really important with several woods, especially this wood. This is Bocote. So we're gonna rough this in, and then we're gonna slide it in as far as it'll go, and then we will start shaping the handle. And now that we have that done, we can actually get to the exciting part here where we're going to start our shaping on the handle. And while I'm kind of tweaking that and getting that finalized, I do want to remind you to slide down there and hit that thumbs up button. It really does help out the channel, and I certainly appreciate it. Um, I want to talk about this wood. This is Bocote wood. Um, I hate it. It's a very unpleasant wood to work with. It's a nice color. I saw some of this on sale and I thought, oh, I can make several wands out of this, offer them at a reasonable price. It is very heavy. It felt very dense. So I knew there was going to be, some problems working with it as far as the density goes. And that's something that I'm used to. I've worked several dense woods. So you do have to worry about the chatter, which is, again, is why I feed that up into the chuck jaws. Um, it's got a kind of a dark chocolate brown streaks with this kind of mustard yellow streaks. So I did figure it was going to be a really interesting color pattern and stuff. But let me tell you something. I started working this stuff, and first of all, it's hard. Second of all, it's strange. It's waxy almost. I want to say like, it's not resiny in the same way that leopard wood is, so, I mean, I still got that resiny, sticky stuff. It almost felt plastic, and it was really tough on the tools, and the waxiness of it just, made it very resistant to a lot of, the things that I wanted to do. So let's skip forward, and I'll explain when we start hitting some of those points. First, right at this point, I'm just dealing with the difficulty of cutting the wood. With a good sharp tool, it does cut well, um, but the waxiness kinda sticks to things and just makes it, sticks to the, tools and the rest and makes it a little difficult to work and to move the tools. So I have to, stop and clean those off quite a bit. But let's get to the next section and I'll explain. So I slowed this down a little bit so you can see this. The first thing I noticed in sanding it is this stuff eats sandpaper like nothing else. You can see it just as soon as you start sanding, it just starts gumming up the sandpaper. I don't know. I think I went through 3 or 4 times as much sandpaper per wand at least on this as I do on any other wand. So, first problem, it eats sandpaper like nobody's business. And so, after some trial, it took a long time. I did get this sanded, and then we moved into the second problem. I'm using this wire friction burner, and it's smoked. You saw the smoke coming off of there, but when I look in the grooves, it didn't really burn like that. It didn't turn the color dark, and like, especially on those really thin areas, I was pulling very as hard as I dared on that to get as much friction as I could, and that waxiness, the oils or whatever in there, they self lubricate this wood. And so I really had a hard time getting it to burn. I could get the groove worked in there, but I could not get a burn line, to get a nice, color to it. So that was, the other thing that I noticed is, getting this stuff to friction burn was, just a nightmare. I could not get it to friction burn at all. But the texture of the lines is there, but, yeah, it didn't wanna burn. So anyways, we've got it generally roughed up here. So I'm going to go ahead and start the sanding process on here. So I started getting the sanding process going, and I did polish it up to a fairly decent grit. And I decided, yeah, I can't. Those burn lines, I really wish they were darker. So I decided the best thing to do was to try to pull out the pyrography tool, and I was just going to try to like turn the heat up on this and try to burn those lines in manually, with the wood burning tool. And still, it was somewhat better. It kind of worked, but as you can see, the line is kind of dark, but then as soon as I kind of clean it out, um, the burnt darkness just kind of came right off. So you can still see the grain in the grooves, and we'll show that in the final here. But wow, this wood just did not want to change colors. In addition, I also tried ebonizing solution on this on the scrap wood, and it had absolutely no effect. So when it comes to Bocote, um, it's difficult to work. It's very waxy, and I have yet to find a way to get any type of acceptable color changing on this, so that I can get some variation in the design as far as color goes. So it looks like texture and shape is about as far as as this will go when it comes to making wands, which isn't the worst in the world, but that's kind of what I've discovered. So, anyways, lots of sanding. The good part about this does really sand up to because of the density. It does sand up to a 2000 grit very nicely. It has a very nice polish to it, and again, a nice grain. So I polished that all the way up and burnished it, and you can certainly see the shine there. And I slowed this down so that you can kind of get a good look of how this looks close up. Um, it did turn out really nicely. The I was able to get a little bit of a color change in those burn lines there and the friction lines. But then, I did put this is with the oil on there. I didn't see just a whole lot of change. It didn't really darken the wood that much. I am assuming just because of the density and the waxy oiliness of this wood to start with. It cleans it up. It does add a nice finish and a protective finish on it. And we get some photos here, in the studio, where you can see, it does have a nice color. It's got some nice grain and color change and stuff like that, but, boy, it is difficult to work, and just to get wood burning lines in there, like that, I having to use the pyrography tool, and it worked okay, but not great. Definitely not my favorite wood to work, but, anyways, it looks nice. So why don't we jump into a second wand real quick here? I've cut out the first part of the video. It's exactly the same as the first one. So if you want to see how that's done, just rewind it. But basically, we're just going to mark out where I want the designs on this handle to be. And then we will start our shaping. And I've got some unusual lines here because I've got a different idea that I want to do for the shape of this. I'm kind of contemplate and see how that goes. But while we're watching the shaping on this, I do want to remind you that you can subscribe to this channel if you're liking what you see and you would like to see more. And when you do, make sure that you ring that bell, and that way you'll get notified anytime that I post some new videos. And I do have several coming up. I still have a couple, two or three other woods to show you besides the Bacote. I do have a special edition video on the Bocote coming up as well. Um, but we're getting close to where I'm going to be doing that Gaboon Ebony video, and that one it just turned out really nice. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like, you can also become a member supporter for as little as $1 a month. You can support the channel, and that'll help us source new woods, get some better video equipment. Right now, I'm just using my phone to do this, so the dynamic range on it is not all that great. Anyways, thanks for your support, and let's kind of zip through some more of this shaping here. And overall, I gotta say, I don't think that the Bocote is the absolute worst wood as far as, turning goes. It was not pleasant. It's definitely in my top 3 of least favorite woods to work. So, but all in all, it does make a pretty wand. I'm not sure, just because of the time it takes with the sanding. As I showed you earlier, it just eats the sandpaper up. It uses a ton of it, and I keep flipping the sandpaper around to different sections, trying to find a piece I haven't used yet. Because as soon as it starts gumming up on the sandpaper, and it's really tough on the finer grits too because it gums it up so quickly. And then, once it's gummed up, then cleaning it out is just not it's really difficult. So you just ended up having to get new pieces. So, not sure how many woods, or how many wands I'll be making out of this in the future. We'll see how they sell. It is a pretty wood, just difficult to work. But as you can see, I did still try to use that friction burn to get those lines at least started there, and, even at 400 times speed, it took quite a while to try to get those lines burned in there, and moderately successful. If nothing else, the texture of being able to visually see a line there, I think is good enough. But I just like it a little bit better when it's darker, personally. So we'll get this tin parted off here, and then we'll finish our sanding process. Again, this sands up to a nice 2000 grit rather easily. Does leave a nice finish on the wood. We'll pull it out here. This is what it looks like before we put the oil on it. As you can see, the colors are already pretty well established. And then once I get the oil on it and clean it up, it does darken a little bit. And again, a nice polish, a nice shine. Overall, the finish on the wood, the look of the wood, I think is really quite nice. It's just really difficult to work. So yeah, we'll see how it sells. If you want to torture me, buy a bunch of these wands, and of course, if they sell, I'll keep making them. Otherwise, yeah, I'll be happy not to make too many out of this. I do still have a few pieces of this wood, so I will be making more wands in the future. But anyways, not a bad wand. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got another one coming up with a special edition, so you can see that here in a few days. And we appreciate you joining us today, and also thank you so much for your support. And we'll catch y'all on the next video.